Hi, I'm Michelle Nadeau, class of 1978 from Tewksbury Memorial High School, and I have with me Jackie Williamson,
Yes.
an English teacher from Tewksbury, and we're going to ask Jackie a few questions about her experiences at Tewksbury Memorial High School and where she is today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, Jackie, you started teaching at Tewksbury Memorial High School what year?
In 1972.
1972. Was it your first job?
No, I had gone to school in Long Island, and I had taught a year in Long Island, and then I moved to Boston. I worked for a year in a law firm, and I decided that I did want to get back to teaching, so I got the job in Tewksbury.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, when you started, was the high school on triple session?
Not initially, but it wasn't too long before it was.
Okay.
And I had the third session, and were you in school during the triple session?
Yes. Yes, we were.
And so did you have the experience of being on the third session that began at 11?
Yes.
Yes.
I remember that.
How did you like it?
It was pretty odd. When I tell people about the triple session, nobody's ever heard of it before, and probably will never hear of it.
Double session, maybe triple session. Yeah.
Since then. But no, it was a very odd experience.
Right, yeah, yes.
And especially then, I think it was senior year, we did 7 to 12.
Right.
And it was a very odd experience.
I think the hardest was probably the 11 to quarter of 5.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. It was very difficult, I think, both for students and teachers. Yeah.
Now, when you were teaching there, did you teach all grades?
Yes, I started out and I probably taught in the beginning more sophomores and juniors.
Okay.
And then for a period of time, I taught almost exclusively seniors. And then my last, say, I think 4 or 5 years, I team taught with Mr. Pashoni. Do you remember
yes.
him?
Okay.
Yep. We team taught world civilization. So I did the literature part and he did the history.
What year was this?
Let's see, so that would have been, probably around, 2000 to 2003, 2004, something like that.
Because that's certainly a progressive way that history and English are now being taught in many high schools.
Right,
so it's interesting to know that Tewksbury was kind of in the lead in that. Is that something you helped develop that curriculum?
Yes, and actually it was a lot of fun because Mr. Pashoni and I go way back. We're friends. He lives in Chelmsford, and his daughter actually was a friend of my daughter in school. So we had a lot of fun together, and we have very different teaching styles and personalities, but it really worked out really well.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, when you think back at your experiences at Tewksbury, are there any things that kind of stand out?
I think for the most part, I would say that for the most part, really love the students. I mean, I always liked children. I mean, and obviously, if you're in high school, you're not really, well, you're a child in a sense, but, and I love literature, and so it was a good combination for me, so, yeah.
Now, did you see over the years a change in the student population? Did it become easier, more difficult?
I think there were ups and downs, really, but I think that what I noticed just before I retired, that for several years there was the different technology component. And that also students, and I was never a big person to lecture a great deal anyway, but that was something that students were much less able to really tolerate, long lectures and that type of thing. And I think it had to do with the fact that technology had affected the way they learned and looked at things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to then adjust some of your teaching styles to accommodate that?
Well, yes. I mean, the thing is, we were limited in the sense that we didn't have a great deal of technology.
Right. Yeah.
So, for example, I for the most part would have 1 or 2 computers in the room, but we tried to do that as much as possible. And also, I was going to say something else that I've completely forgotten. See, I retire and the mind goes.
We'll come back.
Yeah, all right. But no, I think what I was going to say is that what also affected the teaching in the last several years is that we went to block scheduling. So that instead of having close to a 50-minute period for a class, we had, was close to, I think, like an hour and a half.
That's quite an adjustment
It
for
is.
both the students and the
it
staff.
is. So teachers really had to adjust and what I was saying before about lectures and the whole
Yeah.
technology, but you just had to have a lot of different things going on in the time period
Okay.
because a lot of other different activities, because otherwise the students would just, they would just zone out. It would be impossible.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
Right.
Excellent. Any good stories about teachers, other teachers or students? 'Cause
Oh my.
What's any dirt?
Well, we had some adventures over the years. I mean,
Yeah.
I won't go into the strikes. That was
Yeah.
unfortunate for everybody involved. Luckily, that worked out okay. But I do remember, and I don't even remember the boy's name, but we had an incident early on where a boy came into school with a gun. So
Yes,
do you remember?
that was when we were there. Yeah.
Was it really?
Yes. I don't remember if he was in our grade or not. I think he. Okay.
He was
So-
Mr. Papathan's class, but
Okay.
luckily that all worked out
Yes.
okay in the
Yeah.
end. But that was really a bit challenging. Yes.
It's funny because nowadays that probably would go around the world in about 5 minutes. A
Right.
story like that.
Right,
And,
right.
People think that those things didn't happen in the past, but
Right.
they did. We just didn't hear about them.
Right. They were
Unless you
just
were directly
dealt with
involved.
differently. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because since I've been retired, and people will say typically, "Oh, what did you do?" And I tell them I was an English teacher, and they'll say, "Oh, do you miss it?" And what I'll always tell people, I miss the students.
Yes.
No. I still see a lot of the teachers I was friendly with anyway.
Okay.
I don't necessarily miss correcting all the papers.
Yeah, yes.
That's one of
Yeah.
the things about being an
Yeah.
English teacher. But I really enjoyed it, I have to say. Yeah.
So, where are you today?
All right. Well, we've lived in the same house in Chelmsford for, my goodness, 33, 34 years.
Okay.
I've been married 37 years. And we have one daughter in her early 30s who lives in Charlestown with her husband. And we really are very lucky. We're able to travel quite a bit. And every winter we go to Florida for a while. We go to
Nice.
Naples and rent a place there. And we have a lot of friends that are down there at the same time. I'm involved in a nonprofit in Andover. And it's called Quota International. And we help hearing impaired and disadvantaged women and children.
Oh,
And-
that's nice.
and that's really important. When I retired, I made a list of things that I wanted to do, and one of them was that I wanted to do something to give back.
Okay.
But I didn't want to be someplace every Tuesday at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I wanted the flexibility. So this is great because I've been able to be the secretary or be on the board or take projects. For example, this past year, we raised money and bought gifts for a battered women's shelter for the women and children there.
Okay.
And at Christmas time. So that's something I've really enjoyed tremendously.
That's
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
Now, how long have you been involved in this?
About 9 years, yes.
So
And-
quite an extensive
yes,
period of time.
Yes. And I've met a lot of great people too. So that's
Okay.
been fantastic. And also I play a little tennis and golf. I mean, my husband's a
Yeah.
fanatic with both and he's very good at them. I'm athletically challenged, but I try.
Okay.
And I'm in a book club, and I'm lucky. I have a lot of friends that are around, and we do things. So I really keep very busy.
So retirement has been good for you.
It has. It's been. I really haven't. As I said, I've missed the students, but outside of that, I really haven't had an adjustment. What I was finding too, and I retired very early actually. But what I was finding was that the energy that it required was. And I'm a pretty high energy person, but I had to come home every day and take a nap
Okay.
to keep up with things.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I never
That's
had to
good.
do that before.
Yeah.
But I wanted, my husband's a little bit older than I am, and so he was going to retire earlier, and I thought this is the time to be with him and be able to travel and do things.
Okay.
And I don't regret it, really.
Excellent.
And I also did not want to stay so long with the teaching where I just wasn't able to pull it off.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So you got out with a good time, and
Yeah.
you're able to enjoy
Right.
the
And
fruits of your labor.
Right, and as I said too, working with Mr. Pashoni those last few years, it was really a good experience.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun.
Nice
Yeah.
to end on a high note
Absolutely,
like that.
it was. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Definitely, yes.
That's great.
So
So
I
I
was
was wondering, do you still keep in touch with where education is today? It's certainly highlighted a lot in the
Right.
media and news.
No, I am very interested in it, I have to say. And I know some people who are still teaching, and the thing that is amazing to me how much technology has been integrated and how exciting it is for students. And my only concern is that I just hope it doesn't ever reach the point where the technology totally replaces the teacher, because I think that interpersonal connection is important. So we will see what happens. And I also have a concern too about the way that people are communicating. I mean, and I have a computer and I have a phone and I text and all of that, not well, with my daughter and so on. However, I just think that maybe some of that communication has replaced face-to-face communication.
Yes.
And the fact that, for example, cursive writing is not being taught anymore.
Correct.
And so I just really hope that we don't lose books and have all of the technology replace what I think is important.
Yes, things definitely are changing. Having children myself, I see the differences from when I was in school. Some positive, some negative.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
And, who knows where it's going to end up.
Right.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, I've enjoyed it.
For
It's
your
great.
time, and I hope that this has helped everybody reconnect with Mrs. Williamson, our English teacher from high school, and hopefully we'll be back with you soon with another teacher. Thank you.